last official work day of the week, today being Friday the 14th day in the month of January 2022. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on the platform. The pinnacle of all discussion, still part of our morning show right here, the one we call Morning Spice on the flow of God's own state. The discussion segment, of course, divergence of views and a convergence of different perspectives, rather, right? Of course, it is the pinnacle of all discussions on Flow 94.9 FM. My name is Michael Oni. Well, this morning, let's look at this misinformation in disinformation era. You get to know much more about that very soon. You know, there is urgency to draw attention to the danger of fake news, the danger of misinformation, and this information which have a polluted information dissemination, either through mass media or interpersonal communication, not only in Nigeria but globally. There was a time last year, right here in Umuahia, we didn't sleep, not because there was a party, no, not because there was an occasion going on somewhere, no, but because of false information that traveled from one person, of course, across the length of breadth of Umuahia. Some person said some armed people are going house to house in Ubakala axis. Then some other person said it was at Olokoro. If you remember, it was during the a period where people didn't sleep throughout the night, they're waiting for the danger, a danger that was created by someone through misinformation. So the question is, how do you fact check some of those things that you share on the social media? Do you know that you can be charged to court for some of these things? There are laws. Even as states, they do have laws guiding some of the information that you share online. So there is so much false information out there that it is difficult sometimes to know what to believe. And it used to be that when media organizations published or broadcast information, people have no reason to doubt. But today, some radio stations are guilty of this. Some television stations are guilty of this. They get their contents on social media without fact checking, without double checking, without checking, and to be sure if it is true. So people literally swear that they read the information in one paper or the other. Even newspapers are also guilty of this. So it is necessary to ensure that we verify the information we get. There is no prize for being the first person to share breaking information. Anyways, you are going to get much more about this today on the program, the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions, right here on the Flow of God's own state. If you've been following our program, is right here on Flow FM. You must have heard right on the State of the Nation, we talked about West Africa Media Broadcast Academy, all the way from Enugu, and the Enugu Literary Society in partnership with Flow FM, and also United States Consular General, of course, generating Lagos, partnering to organize a training, a certificate training, of course, where you get it. You get to hear much more about this. I have a veteran in the studio this morning. A veteran. When I say a veteran, he's been in this business for donkey years. He had plied his trade outside Nigeria and also in Nigeria. At some point, zonal director of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, that's Radio Nigeria Southeast, Ken Ike Okere, media trainer and consultant, Project Fact Check Nigeria. Glad to have you join us. Welcome to the platform on Flow FM.
Thank you, Michael. Greetings, everyone.
All right.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes,
and greetings, everyone.
So much of misinformation in the media space, not only the traditional media, even the social media. What is going on? Where did we get it wrong?
Well, thank you. What's going on is that right now, due to the emergent technologies of digital technology, due to the advances we have made in ICT, information communications technologies, it has become easier to spread false information. It has become easier to peddle information. It has become easier to conduct propaganda. These things had always existed, even before now, even 100 years ago. But there was no vehicle, there was no means to spread it to as many people as we currently do have.
Okay.
So now it's become easier, and so that's why it appears to be a lot more pervasive.
It looks like there is a lacuna there because it wasn't as rampant like we have it today.
Yes, it wasn't as rampant because it was more difficult to create, distribute, and make impact with false information before now. Now, at your fingertips, using your phone, you can actually create a video. And let me give you an example. Just this week, just a few days ago, trending online was a so-called plane crash, Indonesia Airways plane crash, of which they showed a video of more than 200 people coming out of the aircraft in an emergency crash landing. Okay? And it's false. It's fake. Nothing like that happened. But this has been carried on both by traditional media and by social media. How did the person do it? He got two different videos. There was one of the two videos that were put together in this particular post.
Okay.
It was of a Caspian Airways crash of more than 2 years ago. Okay, so that video was taken and another video was taken, and the two merged. And using video editing software, they're able to make it look like one incident. And yet there was no such incident. Indonesia Airways did not have an emergency landing. There was no crash landing. 200 people did not simply escape the plane crash. There was no such incident. Now, this would have been difficult some years ago for such a person to put together. But now it's become easier because the technology exists to make it happen.
Yeah, my people, the Yorubas, they have a saying that photo which means there's no cheating in how you appear in a photo or picture. It's how you see it, you will appear, but not again with all kinds of tools for altering content. So how do we identify an altered picture or altered photo or video?
Step one is to maintain healthy skepticism about anything and everything you get. Okay, maintain a healthy skepticism. A normal human being should not just believe everything he or she comes across or sees. Do not share things you receive so quickly. That is step one. Maintain a healthy skepticism. Ask yourself, when you see a photo, could there be some context that photo is not showing? You could see a photo of the governor's hand alleging to be slapping someone. Could it be that the interpretation the person who sent it to you had may not be? It may be the governor trying to pet the person. So could there be more context? Then check other sources. How many credible media have carried this? And then use your common sense. When they send you messages that all tomatoes and all potatoes coming from the north have been injected with the HIV virus, and so try and avoid all tomatoes and all potatoes coming from the north. Ask yourself, can the HIV virus survive in a potato? Of course it cannot. So if you know that, and then how possible is it that some people will sit together and put all potatoes and tomatoes coming from the north and poison them? For what purpose? To achieve what effect? If it doesn't sound right, know that it's likely not to be right. So step one is maintain healthy skepticism. Step two, do not be in a hurry to share. Give it a day or two. In fact, what do you benefit by sharing so quickly? Is anybody giving you a prize? Are the people you are sending this to giving you a prize? Sometimes they want to deceive you and make you think you are doing a favor. They tell you, share this quickly in order to save people's lives. Truly? Ask yourself, whose people's lives are you really going to save by sharing that information?
Interesting. So, Are there penalties for sharing fake news? I know we've not taken it so serious in Nigeria. Are there penalties to sharing fake news if it is emanating from me? If it is not, if you're not even the source for just sharing it, it is not your fault that you got the info and you shared it.
It is your fault for sharing, okay?
Why?
Because you owe personal responsibility for what you choose to do. And if what you have done is able to have a lot of impact negatively on people, yeah. Unfortunately or fortunately, we are not a highly litigious society.
Okay.
We are not a society where many people like to go to court or seek for redress in court. However, yes, there are laws. Okay, there's the Cybercrime Act, okay, which is there and says if you use any electronic device to create, generate, distribute things that cause harm, you are going to be liable for it if you are prosecuted, if you are caught. Of course, we have the laws of defamation, where we have libel and slander and all that.
Okay.
All these laws exist. But even if you are not caught, remember that personal responsibility for what you share is important. I'll give you an example, Michael. Just a few years ago, there was almost a war between Igbos and Yorubas in Lagos. When we traced it, we found out that it was activated by a tweet that alleged...
That was during the height of NSAS.
Yes, at the height of that in 2020. And it said that Igbo shops were being burnt by Yorubas in Lagos. And they added a video to this. Of course, when we checked the video and did reverse imaging on the video, there are online tools you can use to check. We found out that that video was 2 years old and had first was about a fire incident in Burkina Faso. So this person took that video and wrote that tweet alleging that Igbo shops were being burnt and looted in Lagos. Of course, this angered a lot of Igbos and all that. Before we could debunk the news and all that and had to make that trend too, that this was false, a lot of damage had been done already. So someone has predicted that if there's going to be a third world war, it may be activated by fake news. So the matter is highly, highly serious. And do not take your sharing for granted. One information you share on social media to 10 people can reach 1 million people in under 1 hour. It has been scientifically investigated and it's been shown that yes, share one information to 10 people, it can reach 1 million people in 1 hour. So you can cause real damage.
All right, it is still the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions right here on Flow 94.9 FM, the last edition for the week, today being Friday, the 14th day in the month of January 2022. And of course, we're looking at fact-checking and implications for journalism, and of course, implication for the masses. I mean, we have a role to play. You heard him, Mr. Ken Ike Okere. He's a senior journalist, of course, a veteran in this business, and with years of experience. You have a role to play. Maintain healthy skepticism and do not be in a hurry to share. So let's talk about members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm. They've been victim also, and they've been a partaker. We cannot rule them out. They've been a partaker in sharing fake news unknowingly and sometimes knowingly. Now, you taught during the class yesterday, you said something about sensationalism and how people bring up headlines to incite one ethnic group to the other, and some other issues. Now, how do we, as members of the Fourth Estate, partake in the misinformation going on in Nigeria as of today?
One main way journalists spread misinformation and disinformation and fake news. These are all three different things, but intertwined. One main way they spread this is by being in a hurry to so-called break the news. if when you're in a hurry to break the news, you forgo the main tenet of journalism, which is the discipline of verification. Now, when journalists do not verify information before sharing, they make the public lose trust in the whole profession. And as the public loses trust in the whole profession, they run into the arms of social media warriors, social media, those who call themselves eyewitness reporters, those who call themselves citizen journalists. These people are not trained. They have no understanding of the basics of journalism. I'll give you an example. So an accident, for instance, happens around this roundabout near the market, and a so-called eyewitness reporter sees 10 people lying apparently unconscious at the near the accident. They bring them out. They are lying unconscious, and he quickly writes his breaking news: accident at Umuahia roundabout, 10 people dead. Now, a true journalist would not do that. A trained journalist would not do that, because just the mere fact that 10 people are lying unconscious does not mean that they are dead. 5, 8, 9, even the whole 10 may be resuscitated at the hospital when they are taken to the hospital. So a trained journalist will not do that. But the so-called citizen journalist or eyewitness reporter will do that, and maybe he has 5,000 followers on Facebook. 1,000 of them reshare it. He puts it on Twitter. 1,000 people retweet it. Everything. It goes round. Before you know it, 10,000 people have read it, assuming that 10 people died in an accident. And if your relative was in that bus, in that taxi, in that vehicle, you immediately can have a heart attack, high blood pressure or whatever, thinking your loved one is dead. Meanwhile, he may not be dead. So there are ways journalists must try not to depend on social media as their main sources of information. Unfortunately, these days a lot of journalists from credible media houses, radio stations, TV stations, newspapers and all that, go to social media mainly for their information. In fact, Michael, last year, 2021, at least 67% of breaking news was done on social media. 67%. Now, nothing is wrong with that if it is you, Michael, a trained journalist doing that. But unfortunately, much of this breaking news is often not by trained journalists. And when you fact check this news, many of them are factually inaccurate.
So, in a situation where we're all journalists, if I can put it that way, even though we're not all journalists, we're all journalists because we have phones that are connected to the internet, Android, iOS, whichever one you're using, to share those pictures and also videos online. I don't know how we can be responsible for what we post now, but this is bringing in the training. Of course, you've been going around cities in Southeast to share with people some of these issues and the dangers of sharing fake news.
Yes.
So, how can people participate, especially in Umuahia?
Yes. So, in Umuahia, tomorrow, Saturday, we have the fact-checking training. It is free, so you are invited to attend. I think it is at Confidence Hotel at where? Afaruku.
That's around Uchenna bus stop.
Yes, around Uchenna bus stop. It starts promptly at 10 a.m. It's free. Members of the public are invited. They can attend, and we will be teaching the basics: how to identify fake news, how to identify misinformation. We'll be showing how photos and videos are manipulated. And we'll be sharing with people the differences between facts and opinion, the difference between misinformation and disinformation, and even malinformation. Okay? For instance, malinformation may be a true information, but shared maliciously with deliberate intent to cause harm. For instance, the video of Tiwa Savage that was released, the nude sex videos of hers that was released, falls into the category of malinformation. It's true information, but what was the intent of the people sharing it? It was not in the public interest.
To damage
the public is not interested in Tiwa Savage's private personal life, what she does in her bedroom. We know her as a musician, and those who enjoy her music. So that falls into malinformation. We'll teach people how in under 1 minute or 2 you can at least fact check that message your brother, your mother, your sister, your friend sent to you on WhatsApp. How to fact check it before you decide whether to share it. You can save lives thereby. So yes, tomorrow, Saturday, it's at 10 a.m. We'll spend about 4 or 5 hours sharing this information and interacting with people and showing them how they can really not fall victims.
What about the side attraction? I understand you'll be giving out certificates to participate.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's a full training. So once anyone who is able to go through the 4 modules we'll be training on will get a certificate at the end of the day. We'll have some refreshments, of course, since it's a long day. And we hope that all the people we train will eventually join us as an army of Abia fact checkers. People who check facts, who when they see things online, they're able to debunk them or confirm them that this is true. But we need, Michael, to bring back credibility to media practice. And the only way we can do that is for the media to become fact checkers themselves. Not just to join in this epidemic. In fact, it's a pandemic because it's not happening only in Nigeria. In this pandemic of misinformation and fake news, we can do that, and that is our objective with our partners, the U.S. Consulate, Consulate General in Lagos. We hope that we can help people know how to fact-check information before sharing.
All right, it is still the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions, right here on Flow 94.9 FM, the flow of God's own state. You can be part of the conversation this morning. The studio lines are very much open. 0808 182 6949, 0811 605 2949. You can also drop messages on 0906 5108289. We're live on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Flow949FM. Don't forget the Fact Check Nigeria program. Of course, the seminar will take place tomorrow at Confidence Hotel. You can be part of that, and you get certificated, and of course join the armies of fact checkers in Nigeria. Fantastic. And also you can play your part in checking malinformation and misinformation.
Yes.
All right.
And disinformation.
And disinformation. Very, very important. All right. Hello, good morning to you. Welcome to the platform on Flow FM.
Good morning, Michael.
You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I remember the point solution.
All right.
With my kudos to you, you have said it all. I believe that information disseminated can lay or mass the entire society. So if I have directed us from misinformation, I'm very, very grateful. God bless you. And equally for us, recipients of this information, let us put it at work. Because any work without putting it to practice is just a merciless product. Let us put it in practice so that before we disseminate anything, either in any form of information, you must, this is faith. You must know that it cannot cause any problem in the society. Thank you, God bless you.
All right.
Thank you very much, sir. Well put.
All right. I would like you to take us through the difference between fact and opinion, just briefly. Fact and opinion, because you said something yesterday during the training that you have the right to your opinion,
yes,
but you do not have the right to your own
set of facts. Yes.
No, you do not, because facts are sacred.
Yes.
Just a moment, let's take this.
Okay.
Hello. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
You're welcome to the platform.
My name is TJ.
All right, Mr. Chinyere. Good morning to you.
And please, sharing of fresh news, I think it's not only limited to private individuals. Such information, such action should also be attributed to also government of the day. You know, for instance, when the government says they have released 520 million to pay some, certain people, and at the end of the day, those are people who the 520 million was released to. We now say we've gotten half out of this. It's also misinformation on the part of the government. You know, it is not only individuals alone misinform people. Government also, on their own part, has their own special way of misinforming the general public. When you walk road of 200 million, you will state on paper that it is 606 billion. It's also misinformation. So this misinforming people, fact-finding mission is applicable to everybody. You understand? So don't make it as if it is only for general public only. Government also involves in misinforming information, getting involved into malinformation. That's my take. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your take. Government part of also, a side of also sharing fake news, so to say. And,
generally, he's right. I mean, it's not governments all over the world, routinely sometimes want to put out information, understandably, that favors them. Okay, and that is why citizens need to be educated. Okay, media literacy is something everyone, not just media practitioners, should be enlightened about. In fact, in Scandinavian countries, it is a part of the primary school curriculum.
Okay.
Primary school students are trained on media literacy, how to interpret this information. So when the chief press secretary to a governor or the commissioner for information or a minister gives out information, citizens would know how to fact check that information. And you will see them come online and be able to say what they know. So if the commissioner for roads or works says he's done this 10 kilometers of road and it's all tarred now from the beginning to the end, and you live in that area, you see that only 1 kilometer has been tarred, you actually can fact check that information. And you'll be able to show that no, only 1 kilometer has been done out of the 10. Next time that commissioner will be hesitant to come to make such a public claim.
Okay, the area of, I asked this question during our training, the area of a lacuna created by no information. I mean, the area where government is meant to respond to a certain issue, and the government created that lacuna, that gap, without responding.
Yes.
How does it affect the spread of fake news?
It does, especially for reporters and media practitioners who want to fact check something, and in some cases you can only fact check an information from a government source. Okay, and that source is not responding as quickly as you want. Okay, so it is difficult, and it makes it more difficult to be able to check the spread of some fake news. However, we have in journalism we say, when in doubt, leave out. Okay, so that section that you are not able to fact check, it would be wrong to still go ahead to carry that information. Okay, and that is why the rush to break news should not triumph over the need for verification. And even if that commissioner or chief press secretary is not responding, there are many other ways that you can get that same information.
No.
Okay.
Just a moment.
Okay.
Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
I'm Honorable Chima Christopher by name.
You're welcome, Honorable.
I'm calling from Kenya.
All right.
Yes. What your man in the house is saying is exactly what I want to say now. Because somebody will walk a kilometer road and they will tell us they have walked 3 or 4 kilometer road. And I don't know how you will tell the governor. And they will be convinced. When they are saying something, sometimes we look at it as government information are still using some fake laws, giving us fake information. You understand me?
Okay.
So what you are saying is the right thing. In fact, I love this program. I was even in the education yesterday. So with Finesse. So we're talking about when you look at today, there are some rules in the community that have not been consulted. You see people talking that they have consulted. They are awarded, and those rules have not been put in a kilometer quota. Like you look at Interior Junction, a few days ago, people were talking the Interior Junction be attacked from different places to places. But when you go to that point, you see a big pothole. You understand me? And the people at the beginning, you say, okay, today they have stopped all these towns in Aba, not to embarrass the road users. You know, 2 hours is in Aba, you see the same thing. So we look at all these things. Sometimes the governors are somehow fed up with leaders.
All right.
Because when they are not saying the truth, you yourself, how will you believe them? So I thank you for the program going on.
All right. Thank you very much. We're so happy that you're following, of course, and you're also learning. Still the platform, the pinnacle of all discussions right here on Flow 94.9 FM, the Flow of God's own state. Well, we're done with the show this morning. I call it an abridged version because we have MOU to sign and the memorandum of understanding. We will be signing the audio of Flow 94.9 FM with this veteran journalist Ken Ike Okere, a media trainer and consultant, Project Fact Check Nigeria. Do not forget that seminar tomorrow at Confidence Hotel. You can be part of it. It's free, absolutely free. You have nothing to pay to be a part of that and also to learn. Do not forget, knowledge, they say, is power, and you get certificated. You get a certificate for partner for joining and of course learning all the 4 modules he has to teach tomorrow. He's a former zonal director of Radio Nigeria Southeast. So what do you think of Flow FM? Oh, the sport.
No, this is not a sport. I mean, I've always loved your station and your programming, and I want to say kudos to you all for the good work you are doing. Okay, keep it up. I know you are not one of the purveyors of fake news and misinformation, and you do double check, and your people are. I'm impressed by the quality and level of training that you undertake in this station. All good regards to your GM, the Samson Eze, and the managers of this place.
All right.
Its flow is commendable.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope you will rate us #1 in your next rating. Well, just before I let you go, we have a presentation of equipment coming from Project Fact Check Nigeria, and also you can join us live on Facebook, facebook.com/Flow949FM. We're live there. You can watch what is happening, the signing of the memorandum of understanding taking place right now in the studios of Flow 94.9 FM. And of course, what this means for Flow, you get to listen to Samson talk about it very soon. Of course, you can be part of the conversation by joining us on Facebook page live now. We'll take a short break. When we return, it's going to be about the memorandum of understanding, of course, between Flow FM and Project Fact Check Nigeria.